Chief Tony Tyndall from Milton, Sheriff Lou Roberts from Jackson County, Sheriff Eddie Joe White from Liberty County, Captain Rick Warden from the Florida Highway Patrol, Sheriff Kevin Cruz from Washington County, Sheriff John Tate from Holmes County. What you have here is a united, dedicated front saying that we believe the proposals made by Governor Rick Scott is the most significant improvement to the safety and well-being of our children proposed in my 25-year career. We're standing in support of the governor and standing in support of our children. Governor, we're here.
Thank you. First thing I want to thank Sheriff Atkinson for hosting us here today. Last week, right after the shooting in Broward County, I asked law enforcement from around the state to come to Tallahassee. I asked educators, I asked mental health professionals, and everyone showed up. Sheriff Atkinson led the round table on law enforcement. Sheriff Ashley was there, and I know they got a lot of support and a lot of ideas from sheriffs and police chiefs around the state. 2 weeks ago today, 17 Floridians died. You can't imagine when you hear something like that. The first thing I think all of us think about is, how would we handle it in our family? I have 2 daughters, I have 6 grandsons. I can't imagine losing one of them. Right after it happened, I talked to both of my daughters and said, unfortunately, in your lifetime, you're going to have to teach your children what an active shooter is and how they have to be careful and they have to look at, be careful around their surroundings. Every parent in the state, every parent in our country should be very comfortable when they send their child to school, their child is going to come home safely. I've sat down with sheriffs, police chiefs, mental health professionals, educators, parents, students. I visited patients that were shot in the hospital, and I've listened to them. When something like this happens, you have to stop and listen to what people feel their needs are. And that's what I've tried to do. We are in the last week and a half of our legislative session, and we have got to get something done. We cannot let this time pass without having a significant improvement on the safety of our children. The reforms that I proposed last Friday make it virtually impossible for anyone who is struggling with mental illness or anyone who threatens others or themselves to have access to a gun, and they shouldn't have access to a gun. My plan that I propose is a $500 million plan. The first thing people ask is, do we have the money? We do have the money. We walked into this legislative session with expected revenues of $3 billion over recurring expenses. And 2 weeks ago, we found out we had significantly more projected revenues than we anticipated. This proposal will increase collaboration between our local law enforcement, our sheriffs, our schools, the Department of Children and Families, and DJJ. It has mandatory law enforcement officers in every public school in this state. There will be a significant increase in law enforcement presence in all of our schools, and we need it. All hours will have law enforcement presence there. My goal is to have every plan submitted through the Sheriff's Department. Our Sheriff's Departments work with our local police departments, but have all the plans, whether it's how law enforcement is going to be used, or the plans to harden schools, all approved by the Sheriff's Department with the support of our local police departments. We'll make significant investments in school safety, metal detectors, bulletproof glass, steel doors, upgraded locks. We're going to have an anonymous see something, say something, statewide dedicated hotline, website, and app. We're going to have dedicated mental health counselors for all of our students at all of our schools. If someone's dealing with mental issues, they ought to have somebody they can talk to. I want to have an employee from the Department of Children and Families embedded in every sheriff's department so they can work hard to try to organize the efforts and share information and share ideas, but figure out exactly how to deal with anybody that is dealing with mental illness or anybody is thinking about harming themselves or others. I want a threat assessment team at every school, a principal, a teacher, law enforcement, Department of Children and Families and DJJ at every school, so they can say what are our concerns, have a meeting on a monthly basis, and address those concerns. My goal is to have a massive change in school safety. It's no different than what we've done with regard to airports. We try to make sure our airports are safe. We need to make sure our schools are safe. We need to have a significant increase in mental health resources, and we've got to keep the guns out of the hands of people struggling with mental illness and those that are threatening others and themselves. Nothing is more important than what we do now to protect our students and to make sure that an evil act like this never happens again in this state. We have a week and a half left in this legislative session. I will be working with the legislature to make sure we have a bill that passes that is going to significantly change school safety in this state. I hope everybody reaches out to your House member, reaches out to your senator, and make sure you let them know how important it is to do, in my opinion, two things. Make sure our schools are safe. Number two, make sure guns are not available to somebody that's dealing with mental illness or threatening themselves or others. Again, I want to thank Sheriff Atkinson for the opportunity to be here. I want to thank all the sheriffs, all the police chiefs, and all the law enforcement for being here. But most importantly, I know what they try to do every day. Their focus every day is to make sure every citizen in the state is safe. We're blessed to have a 46-year low in our crime rate, but we've got to make sure this never happens again in this state. I was with two parents that lost their daughters yesterday, and Andy Pollock said he wants to make sure he's the last parent in Florida that ever loses a child because of something that happens at a school. So thanks again for the opportunity to be here, and I look forward to this bill passing and us dramatically changing school safety in this state. Thank you.
This time, this will conclude this part of our briefing. The governor will be available for questions in just a moment, and we'll have that an area set up for that. Thank you for joining us today.